Hey there, welcome to another Lumio live session. And my name is Asha, and I'm here with my fellow Lumio lovers, Lois and Casey. Hi, ladies, how are you doing?
Oh, good on this Tuesday.
Awesome. Are we super excited about the Infinite Cloner today?
Absolutely. One of my favorite features Lumio has to offer.
It is, and we're super excited to show you how you can use the Infinite Cloner to engage students and to create some dynamic lessons. So I think we should jump right into it, shouldn't we?
That sounds great. So, Lois, you and I were talking just the other day about how much we love the infinite cloner ability inside of Lumio. I think you were telling me about something you were doing with some librarians, if I remember right.
Yes, actually, it was so great. They actually use the Infinite Cloner to put what types of books they like. So maybe like their favorite author. And then they could use the Infinite Cloner to have people choose if they also like the author and if they've read their books. So it was a really great exercise. I'll be happy to share that later.
That's awesome. You are welcome to join if you want to get a student perspective. You can go to hellosmart.com and join us as a guest using my class ID 11311. It is scrolling across the bottom of your screen so you can see how to connect. But we're going to jump right into everything we can do with Lumio and the Infinite Cloner. So I have used Infinite Cloner with all different types of tools, all different types of subject matters, content areas, grade levels, whether I've been working with pre-K students or all the way up to our seniors in high school. There is a place for Infinite Cloner for everyone. We thought we'd have a little fun with fall and gratitude, right? It's always good, I think, at this time of the year to have students reflect on things that they're grateful for. It's been a crazy start to the school year. You're kind of really in the go, and so it's good for them to take a moment and really think about that. So what we have here is we have some infinitely cloned leaves that students can pull up. So the first thing I like students to do is just kind of reflect and think about how many things can they think of that they're grateful for, and they can just drag that leaf up. You'll see right now that you don't have the ability to move the objects, and that's because I'm in view only. I could have already set this page up for my students to work on, but I sometimes like to do it on the fly, meaning right in front of my students, so I can give some instructions first before they just jump in and start moving. But at this point, I'm going to click on the classroom management button in the top left corner as a teacher. And I have three options. I can make this an individual handout where each student has their own copy. I can do this as a group workspace where students work as teams. And I could even make it a whole class whiteboard. So if I wanted all of us as a class to think about things we're grateful, we could do that whole class whiteboard. For today, I'm going to do an individual handout so students can really think personally about what they have to be grateful for in their lives. So I'm going to choose individual handout. And what's amazing is that immediately gives every student a copy of the page. So way quicker than me standing at that copy machine in the morning and hoping that everything's going to stay working. What's also nice is we have this teacher handout version in this bottom right corner. So when I click on that, I can actually model for my students what my expectations are. So today you're going to drag leaves up on your tree as you consider and remember different things you're thankful for. And what's nice is you have some tools going down the left side that allow you to add additional text or images. So if I want to add a text to show what I'm thankful for, maybe I want to say that I'm thankful for my dog Foster, who is right now bird and deer watching. And what's nice too is Lumio just had a plethora of new fonts added. And I don't know about you, Lois, but as a teacher in the classroom, I had a deep and abiding love for as many different fonts as humanly possible. So I can add and customize those fonts, the colors, things like that. And I can move that content around and, of course, add images. What's great too is I can check in on students. So I can see that Kat says that she's finished. I'm going to pop in over here and I can see that she's thankful for her family, her home, her health. And what's great too is I can, of course, give feedback to her as well, because I have these tools as a teacher going down my left side. So if I wanted to write or give her a quick note, I could do that. I could even say maybe what family, why is she thankful? So we can even have a little back and forth between me and my students, which is fantastic.
I love that ability to provide that immediate feedback. It makes it really nice.
Me too. And I love that I can just pop in, and it doesn't have to be really intense. Like I could just do a little check mark like I have on yours, Lois, and you see that showing up in real time on your screen. So you can see that the teacher's involved and connected to your lesson, which is great. So what I want us to do is look at how easy it is to make something that is infinitely cloned. So I'm actually going to take you into editing mode so you can see how we can add an infinitely cloned object to any page quickly and easily. This is a similar activity to what we just did before, but this is what I call a silent chalk talk, where students could, as a whole class, share things they're grateful for, but then read each other's responses and use these infinitely cloned objects to ask questions, to share if you feel a connection to something they've shared, if you want to add on, or let's add something for that like button. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Lesson. As students, you'll be temporarily taken out of my lesson, but you'll come right back in as soon as I hit Finish Editing. So here I am on that page, and I want to add an object, an infinitely cloned object to represent like. So I'm actually going to pop over to the shape icon over here, and I'm going to add a heart. I can double click to add that heart. I can resize it. I can play around with the colors to make it look just how I want it to look. Once I have it the way that I want it, you're just going to click on that down caret, and that gives you a menu of different things you can do. And the one that I really want to pay attention to is this infinite cloner. Just like that, I have an infinite number of hearts. So my students will never run out. So they can like every one of their peers' statements if you're doing this activity in class, which is fantastic. What's great too is it doesn't have to be a shape that you infinitely clone. You can infinitely clone anything that you put on your page, whether it's a text box, whether it's a text, or a symbol that you use the text tool to do, whether it's a drawing tool. Any of these objects also give you that infinitely cloned option, which is amazing. So I'll just go ahead. Oops, let me go ahead and switch that back to red, and let's delete this really quickly. All right, so I have added that infinitely cloned object, and now I'm just going to hit Finish Editing, and it's going to bring me right back into my main page. And so just like at this point, I could convert this page into a whole class whiteboard so that everyone can be working and sharing their ideas in one space. So you've seen two different ways that you can do an activity like this with your students, one independently, one where students are working as a group or a whole class.
Absolutely. And I really love all the graphics that you always seem to find, Casey. Like your graphics are amazing. And I think a lot of those might come from a partnership that we have.
Absolutely. So I don't know about you, Lois, but I absolutely love Canva. And Lumio actually has a button right now in Canva that we can export our content straight into Lumio. So I built most of this minus these infinitely cloned objects. I made it in Canva and then imported it into Lumio. And these infinitely cloned objects I added once I had this imported into Lumio. So I love being able to mix and match those two different tools, two of my favorites in one place.
I love that. And so we have some viewers on Facebook saying hello. So if you'd like to participate in this activity, you can just go to hellosmart.com and enter the class ID 11311, or as Casey says it, 11311. So you can participate too.
So we worked to create this today, and you saw how easily I was able to add that heart and infinitely clone it. I used the shape buttons for these different shapes here. I used the text box to get this question mark and infinitely clone it. So very simple and easy. There's a lot of different ways we can use manipulatives. And in our Lumio library, we actually have a plethora of digital manipulatives available for you to use for free with your students. I just grabbed a few from the category, from our digital manipulatives category. If you click on this little icon right here, it will actually open up a window that is full of additional digital manipulatives as well. So you will notice that we have things that are great for our secondary teachers, like algebra tiles. You'll see things that are wonderful for our elementary students that might be working on building words or letters. You see things for music teachers, things that can be used no matter what your content area is, like the mind maps and the tic-tac-toe choice board. So I really encourage you to explore the digital manipulatives that are already available. But what's great is if you don't see digital manipulatives that are there that you want to use with your students, you can create your own using that infinite cloner object, which is great. You can also always share if there's content you wish or manipulatives you'd like to see in our Lumio library. If you join our Lumio Educators Facebook group, that's a great place to put suggestions, and we'll get it to our content team who creates these great tools for us to use with our students.
I love it.
And speaking of, we have a Lumio challenge every month. It's a great way to try something new with your students, or if you work with teachers, a great opportunity to try something new with your teachers during trainings as well. This month's challenge is all around Infinite Cloner. So whether you are using an activity that you find in our Lumio library, or whether you create an activity using Infinite Cloner, we hope that you'll share that lesson or that resource or a screenshot of students' work to any of our social channels. You can share it to #Lumio Challenge on any of our Twitter, Instagram, all of those favorite social channels that we have, and you can find them at Lumio Social. But again, if you post any of your content to #Lumio Challenge, we're always looking to see what you're sharing and what you're doing, and there are prizes each month for people participating.
Well, and I just think the thing that I love about the infinite cloner is I don't know if your children are the same as mine, but it seems like my sons would always lose all the manipulatives. So I'm always replacing teachers' manipulatives. So I feel like it's a really great way to have digital manipulatives that kids can practice at home without mom having to worry about replacing them because who knows what happened to them, right?
That's a great point, Lois. And one of the things that I liked from the teacher side of things too is that when my kids used actual manipulatives in classroom, they would clean them up after the lesson. So I couldn't always see the thinking behind what they were doing. And with digital manipulatives, it saves their work as they're using those manipulatives. So it gives me more of an insight into how they used to solve problems in class, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think we have more and more students that are speaking more than one language too, right? So if they're learning in English in school, they can also practice their native language at home with their parents using those manipulatives as well, which just helps build on all the information they're learning, right?
Absolutely. So I hope that everyone wants to take advantage of this great feature inside of Lumio, test out those infinite cloners, see how you can use them in your content area or with your students, and make sure we learn from you on all of the social channels.
Yes. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you, Casey. I think this was awesome. Just going over Infinite Cloner and, of course, the Lumio Challenge. And we will be back in 2 weeks. So, November 28th, look out for our next Lumio Live where we dive into another great feature that you could use in the classroom. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great one.
Bye, everyone.